The Mets just swept the Toronto Blue Jays, and the question on everybody's mind is, are the Mets about to go off?
Well, Vito, we see that this Met team is one of the best, if not the best, at preventing runs. The starting pitching, the bullpen, it has been fantastic. The offense, this is a deep lineup. They've got some guys on the sideline that will come back, and a lot of guys who haven't fully hit their stride. Once those guys start hitting, this Mets team might be an absolute juggernaut.
Yo, welcome to Meet at the Apple Live. I'm Vito, Calise. That's Jonathan Barron. And the Mets just swept the Blue Jays. John, how good are you feeling?
Well, hello. We're back where we belong. I felt like 2025 is really just kind of a big continuation of 2024. Different cast of characters, obviously, but it almost feels like the offseason never happened in a weird way. It feels like, the Mets are doing many of the same things they did last year that helped them have success, especially in the second half, some new things. The bullpen, obviously a huge part of this whole situation. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but a great weekend at Citi Field. Yeah. Opening day was magical. Saturday night was wild. And today, the first ever formal Kids Day. It was Kids Opening Day, so that was awesome as well. Lots of families out at the ballpark, lots of child programming. So just an all-around great weekend. And, of course, 3 big Mets victories. They moved to 6-3 with the Marlins coming in, so the Mets have an opportunity to really get themselves off to a nice start here in 2025.
Yeah, I don't know why it feels so good for me for a sweep against the Blue Jays specifically, but I think it goes back to 2023 because if you remember,
I remember
when the slide started in 23, it was against the Blue Jays. It was Father's Day weekend. It was Mets Hall of Fame.
It was not Father's Day weekend.
It was Mets Hall of Fame. It was Mets Hall of Fame. That wasn't the same weekend?
No, it was June 2, 3, 4.
Got it. Okay, so it
Don't
was
doubt
close.
me.
It was that was an important month. That was an important month for you.
That's not why. I just remember it because let's see. So that year we had our pyro, in-game pyro.
Yeah.
For half the season. That was the first game of the package. The first hitter was George Springer. He had a leadoff home run, and I remember thinking to myself, oh, crap, we didn't really tell people that, like, don't go into the black in center field because he hit it into the black in center field. And I was like, we need to start making announcements because if a Met home run went in there and someone went to go chase it, which you definitely could, that could be a sticky situation. Do not do that.
You should not do that. That is not something you should do, and we're making that announcement. But, yeah, so I remember in 2023, that was like the start of the slide. And so going into the series, obviously it's a different scenario. We're not in June. We're in we just finished March, but it feels really good to get a sweep done early. I was looking at it last year. We didn't get a sweep until I think like April 14th or the 17th against the Pirates. That was when we got our first sweep last year.
Yep.
Also, like the first time we got 2 games above 500 last year was against that series, which is funny because if you look back at last year, I don't think you would even remember the team getting a sweep that early, getting above 500 that quickly, because we remember that first run, but I feel like that first run gets forgotten.
Yeah, I mean, that was obviously the 0-5 start, but then they won the 7 straight games. That was before they went to LA, and then the 7th win was the Friday night game that you were at, the Lindor home run. But yeah, I mean, look, it's a tale of 2 seasons early on. Now,
I like
of course,
a tale of 2 seasons.
Of course, though, we know that the Mets got off to the abysmal start last year, and they wound up making the playoffs. We remember in 2018, the Mets were 11-1. And did not come close to making the playoffs that year. So, you want to proceed with caution, but there's a lot to like, and I think there's a lot of headroom here, and we'll talk about that more. Things that the Mets haven't necessarily done yet, but can start to do to put themselves in an even greater position to win ball games. So we'll get to that in a little bit.
But I think this is the perfect time to talk about the top 5 moments coming out of Mets Blue Jays. Number 5, it's opening weekend, the opening day festivities. Number 5, because it's a beautiful day, especially when you get to come to the ballpark. A lot of people here are dressed up in suits. They're standing on the field. You're seeing those lineups. And this year especially, the crowd, the roar of the crowd for every single player, it felt like on those lineups. But Pete Alonso especially, getting that reception from the fans. I had heard from some of the guys who went to Houston that Pete Alonso got the biggest round of applause for Mets fans in Houston. So seeing him here also, what seemed like the biggest pop of the day, like it was really special.
Yeah, I mean, I was leading up to the day wondering, going back and forth in my mind, will it be Soto? Will it be Alonso? Would it be somebody else that would get the biggest reception? And I think that, Pete being homegrown and being on the precipice of setting the Mets all-time home run record, which I talked to Brendan, my boss, I think Friday night after he hit the home run opening day, and was like, he's going to do it probably, midsummer. What are we going to do? And we saw Alex Ovechkin break the NHL goal record on Sunday. and they stopped the game, and there was a whole ceremony. And, it's going to be a very, very big moment in Mets history. So, there's no wood here.
That's probably not wood.
That's wood. That sounds... I know wood when I knock on wood. That's wood. That's not wood. I guess the bats are. Are they?
Yeah.
I guess they have to be.
Yeah.
They can't be metal. But whenever it comes, hopefully it's here at Citi Field, we can have an amazing, magical moment. Pete is a Met, and he continues to just come up huge, whether it's the home run in Milwaukee or the 3-run home run he hit in Miami or the grand slam he hit in Miami or, kicking things off on opening day, just getting the party started with his 2-run home run in the first inning. That's our guy. So like you mentioned, suits, bunting all around the stadium.
I love bunting.
Hey, bunting's the best. A packed stadium, a packed house. Couldn't even walk on the concourse. It was one of those days at Citi Field. Opening day is always the best, right? There's nothing better. So a fun day. The first ever mascot race happened that day.
Yeah.
It was a fun day for sure.
All right, number 4, first walk-off of the year, Francisco Lindor walk-off sac fly. And that game in general, and we'll get more into it later, but 37,000 fans sitting in the frigid cold, 27-degree temperatures.
Where did you get that number from?
I heard it on the radio today.
It was not 27.
I'm telling you, I heard it on the radio.
27 is sub-freezing. It was like 45.
Okay, first, 27 isn't sub-freezing.
Yes, it is.
Like it's sub-free. Like, what do you mean?
32 is freezing.
Is freezing.
In Fahrenheit.
27 is not that much, anyways.
27 is not that cold? What are you saying?
Just saying it's not that
No,
cold.
27 is cold.
27 is cold, but I heard
Freezing is 32. Zero in Celsius. We were playing the Blue
maybe
Jays.
it was the feels like. It was with the wind. It was 27. But I heard the number 27.
Hold on, I'm going on MLB.com. Sorry. I thought I saw you say that somewhere that it was like 27. I was like, it was not 20. It's here. Weather, 45 degrees and cloudy.
Okay.
On the box
I
score.
heard 27 degrees on the radio.
Mm-mm.
You had
you're
all day to tell me that.
18 degrees off.
You had all day to tell me that.
Where is it on here? No, it's not on our Rana show.
Okay, but
Anyway.
27-degree temperatures according to some radio.
Who said it?
Platforms.
Was it Pat McCarthy? Pat, was it you?
I heard it on. Well, yesterday I was driving and I heard it. I don't know, man. I thought I heard it. Maybe I didn't. This is a big time waster. The point is, it was cold here. It was raining right before the game started. It was windy. It was a brutal day.
Those are 4 things I can agree with.
But for the fans to be as loud, as engaged, to stick out that entire game, and then the energy coming through, and we'll talk about some moments and how the fans made an impact. But yeah, first walk-off of the year. Get it done early.
Yeah, no, that was very exciting. The Mets started to put some hits together in the 6th inning and the 7th inning, but they couldn't get a run across the plate. The bullpen did a great job keeping the Mets in that game. And then in the 8th inning, with 2 outs, Jesse Winker facing the lefty, which we spoke with Mendy about this morning, giving him a chance to hit. And he puts one off the wall. George Springer comes up a bit short. 2-run score. Winker has his second triple of the game. So, it was just a real never say die attitude. And then, I thought it was a little poetic that Jeff Hoffman is the guy that John Schneider turned to in the 9th inning to try to get out of that 1st and 3rd situation. And Hoffman was one of the guys who the Mets had a lot of success against in the NLDS last year when he was a Philly, a big price acquisition in the bullpen by the Blue Jays. And once again, the Mets get to Jeff Hoffman. So kind of like that.
Yeah, I mean, look, the magic to the Mets' success, the recipe to the Mets' success last year was attacking bullpens, just staying in games late, always staying within striking distance. And you got to give credit to them. That's what we've seen the entire season so far. I mean, all the games they lost, they were in it to the final at bat. So that's what you want. That's what you could expect from this team. They're going to stay in it. The pitching is going to keep them close. It's on that lineup to just come through in those big moments. And we are seeing guys have those moments. But I brought up the bullpen. I think number 3, this Mets bullpen. We told you this in the season preview. We told you this at spring training.
We did.
We said this bullpen was going to be elite. And so far, this bullpen is absolutely locked down elite.
Dare I say, better than I anticipated. 1.29 ERA right now. The Mets as a whole staff, starting and relieving, 1.91 ERA, which is the best in baseball. By the way, so the Mets 2.40 starting pitcher ERA is the best in baseball. Do you know, Hunter, do you know who has the second best starting pitcher ERA in baseball as a team?
The Los Angeles Dodgers.
No, the Rockies. And they have 1 win, which is crazy.
Honestly, could have been my last guess.
I know. Well, especially the Rockies, not exactly known for pitching greatness other than Ubaldo Jimenez. That's probably the only one. And Mike Hampton. But yeah, it's been incredible. And everyone in the bullpen is getting the job done. Carlos Mendoza today in the 8th inning, bridging the gap, goes to AJ Minter. He could have gone to Ryan Stanek. He used Reed Garrett a little earlier. Reed Garrett On Friday, gets out of a jam. He has inherited 6 runners. He has stranded 6 runners. Max Kranick today, when David Peterson left with the bases loaded, comes in, gets out of a jam, then completes the entire next inning. A 4-out job by Max Kranick, really bridging to the back end of the bullpen. We've seen it with Huascar Brazaban when he's come in. 7 1/3 scoreless innings. Kranick, by the way, he has faced 22 batters this year. He has allowed 1 guy to reach base. He has literally retired 21 of 22 hitters faced. So he's been a revelation. Having that dynamic bridge, having Kranick, Vito, and Brazaban as guys that can go 2 innings for you to get to the trio of Stanek, Minter, and Diaz, incredibly valuable. And again, we keep saying it, Daniel Nunez, still in AAA. I believe he pitched more than 3 outs or recorded more than 3 outs in his last outing. I think the Mets want to stretch him out and be a guy that can also give you that. But they're loaded, and everyone is executing, and that's the kind of thing you need with the bullpen, right? We know that relievers are up and down. One year, guy has a great year. The next year, either health evades him or just performance goes. You need guys to have good years at the same time. That's how you kind of win in a given season. And right now, this Mets bullpen, it seems like a lot of guys are locked in at the same time.
Yeah, I feel like right now, if there's a situation, you're in a bases loaded jam, you got to get somebody to come in and give you an out. You know what you got to do? You got to hit the Kranick button.
Don't Kranick. Don't panic. Here comes Max Kranick.
And also, Max Kranick had a little bit of extra riz today.
He did. Usually when a player catches a ceremonial first pitch, it is usually a guy who is on the bottom of the roster.
You don't even have to say that. It's usually a guy who's
not going to play.
It's usually a position player who's just not
gonna
playing.
play.
It's usually like last year it was like you would see Tyrone Taylor catching it when he wasn't in the lineup
Luis
a lot.
Guillorme called a lot. Zach Short was
DJ Stewart. It's just somebody. It's usually a position player that's not in the lineup. It's very rarely a reliever.
Right, and he was obviously hot today. He got 4 outs. So, but yeah, I mean Max Kranick. We saw him at the chicken place down in PSL.
Did he ask to catch the pitch?
That's a good question. That's a good question. Hey, there's one other thing I want to mention. I'm going to go back to point 4 here, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention this. The Mets rocking the purple long sleeves under the City Connects.
Great.
Changes the jersey completely.
I think that there is more. I mean, like, I love the City Connect jersey. I think that there's more places that the purple could have been used to highlight. Like, for example, the logo on the NY with the white stroke.
Could have had some purple there.
I think the purple stroke would have been... Like, having purple in our color scheme now, I think it just pops, and it's...
Purple's a great color.
Great.
Purple's a great color. But a new thing in 2025... And whoever made that decision, I'm trying to do a little investigating, figure out how that came to be.
Last year, I remember hearing that it was going to be implemented into the jersey the following year.
You can't do that though. You can't change the actual jersey.
No, the following it was going to be implemented into they couldn't change the under last year.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, you heard that the purple undershirt was going to be a thing
next season because
okay.
that's part of like the package that has to be presented to MLB before the season starts.
I
remember hearing that they're gonna switch the purple in next year because the purple was like they were selling so much purple stuff, especially with what happened last year.
Yeah, looked amazing.
It did. Yeah, it's purple's a great color. It pops. It's cool. It's different. Like it's only the Rockies, and then sometimes do the Diamondbacks have purple sometimes?
No, there's Sedona. Actually, they do have purple, like their throwbacks. The Randy Johnson, Kurt Schilling. They don't wear the full purple.
No, but they have purple.
They have purple accents.
So it's just the Rockies, them, and then us with purple. And purple's great, man. So
I'm a big purple fan.
All right, let's move on to number 2. Look, there was some debate on where this one should fall. The importance of it makes it a 2. I thought thematically it should be a 3. But number 2, Winker's triple. Just to get the team back in the game, that late inning magic Mets, and also just it being Jesse Winker, because it adds that little bit of extra pop. It adds that little bit of extra, like the Jesse Winker giving us his "Are you not entertained?" arms up in the air, and off the wall. Springer, luckily he was able to return back into play today, so it wasn't a serious injury. But it's just the Mets being hot, man.
Yeah, and like we talked about, Jesse facing the lefty there. Marte had been used as a pinch hitter earlier in the game for Hayden Senger.
Who got his first hit at Citi Field today.
Yes, he did. So congrats, Hayden Senger. But, for Mendy to stick with Winker, and we talked about this with Mendy as well earlier this morning. You've got Soto, who, it doesn't matter, righty-lefty. There's no platoon advantage for the pitcher. Brandon Nimmo has been one of the best left-handed hitters against lefty pitchers in baseball for the last 5-6 years. And we saw Jesse Winker get it done in a big spot there also. And like I said, the Mets at first and third with, I think, just 1 out. I think that was the situation. Yeah, Soto was on first. And I think Vientos made it out, or Vientos walked out. I forget the sequence. But there were 2 outs. And after the Mets stranded guys in the 7th inning, and the bottom of the order was coming up, you were kind of like, man, like if he doesn't get it done here, I don't feel so great about this. And he comes up huge. Thought it was gone for a second. There was a bit of confusion there, but ball rolled away from George Springer, like you said. George is good, stole a base today, so that's good to see as well. Congrats to George, UConn Husky guy.
Okay.
So yeah, he played baseball at UConn. So the UConn Lady Huskies are national champions once again. Wanted to throw that in there since Hunter mentioned that to us earlier before the show. But yeah, Springer's okay, and yeah, just a huge moment for Jesse Winker. That's the example of everyone getting it done. A new hero. There's really been a new hero in all these victories, which I love.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, look, that brings us to number one because there's been one consistent hero in all these games. And to start the year, Pete Alonso's just on a heater. It's the best start he's gotten since 2019. When I was looking back at his 2019 numbers, by the way, and I actually forgot how good his first 10 games was when he debuted with this team. But this year, Pete Alonso off to a crazy start. And what does he do on opening day? Gets that love, gets that embracement from the fans, and then his first at bat back here at Citi Field at his home goes yard. I was sitting in section 106. When that ball went over, dude, I can't even tell you how loud my section was, how pumped people were. And then the curtain call, Pete comes out, throws the hands up, everybody goes nuts again. It was just one of those moments where you were like, "Oh, this is gonna be something special." Like if you went to the ballpark with your dad today, you went with your mom today. This is one of those moments you're gonna remember and talk about years later.
Yeah, magical moment, and to hit it against a really good pitcher, by the way, in Kevin Gossman, with the nasty splitter, and it was a display of Pete's power in that instance. I mean, a pitch really. I don't even want to say on the outer half. It was off the plate. And he just flicked his wrist and deposited it over I think it was Springer in right field on Friday, over his head on top of the little area there by the Cadillac Club. Magical moment, like you mentioned. We said this with Mendy this morning. I don't remember the last curtain call here. I really can't remember it. But if there was ever a situation for one, and you felt it immediately, he rounded the bases, and I think Nimmo came up after, and Nimmo stepped out. Which, shout out to Brandon Nimmo. He stepped out and he let Pete have his moment. And that was cool because I hate when a curtain call happens while a pitch is being thrown and both things are happening simultaneously. It kind of takes away from the moment. Nimmo stepped out. Pete had his moment, a magical moment on opening day. And, a way to start the game that was absolutely perfect. Gave Tyler McGill a quick 2-0 lead. He settled in, gave the Mets a nice performance. And the Mets are off and running to another victory during a home opener.
Hunter, can you keep an eye in the comments? Let us know if anybody is able to guess and remember what the last curtain call was. Because I feel like in the back of my head, I kind of remember Jose Iglesias possibly doing one last year.
Curtain call?
I feel like in his 2 home run game, I feel like the crowd was begging for it. And I feel like he popped back out and gave a quick wave.
Against Colorado? Maybe.
I
don't know.
It feels familiar, but I also can't. I wouldn't swear on it. But if anybody in the comments pops in and they can remember what the last curtain call was, we'd love some of your input. But yeah, really fun weekend at Citi Field, and it all gets capped up. That was our top 5. Pete Alonso going yard was number 1. But just some other moments we want to talk about from this weekend. One, we briefly mentioned it a little before, but the Rizzler came out through the first pitch. And I'm not exaggerating when I say I have never, for any celebrity I've ever seen throw out a first pitch at Citi Field, former players, anything, I've never heard the pop the Rizzler got on that pitch.
Try walking around with the Rizzler. I mean, you can't go 3 feet without being stopped. It was impossible. We had him do the Rizzler camp today. And so, when there's 3 outs before the inning break, you got to get in place. That half inning happened to be like 20 minutes. When Peterson left the mound. By the way, David Peterson, Carlos Mendoza said after the game, physically fine, got a little sick. So it sounds like David Peterson physically is okay.
Blurred vision, felt a little nauseous, like he got punched in the gut, but all good now.
Yep.
Sometimes you just gotta chuck it up.
Yep. So, but yeah, I was down there with the Rizzler, and it was a scene.
It's like Elvis.
That's a good way of putting it. It's like Elvis.
Like
it's basically the same thing.
Is it bigger? Maybe.
You know what was nuts?
Possibly bigger than Elvis.
Dude, he came with his dad and his grandpa, and. Me and Hunter went to go meet the Rizzler and get a picture with him. And I was walking up and I was like, it's the grandpa from the original. Like, I'm the grandpa.
Well, I mean, there's the mom, dad, there's a whole Rizzler family.
We met the whole Rizzler extended universe, and he was here with he was here. I saw him with New York Nico. He was here with Cooge.
I met Cooge. I got a picture with Cooge.
Dude, it was the way that these guys travel together, it's crazy. I called them the social media Avengers, just like teaming up, linking up in a Mets game.
It was the place to be.
Wait, check this out. How sick is that?
Oh, that's good. He threw up the.
Yep. He gave you. This is a 7 out of 5 Maroons.
I was talking to him in the press conference room before he walked out with Rizzler, but the Rizzler just brings joy. Like, people are just pumped to see him. And like I said, dude, did you hear the reaction he got on that first pitch?
Of course.
It was nuts.
It is. And he's a big Met fan too.
I know. Did you know? So I was told that he comes in and he got a jersey last year, and they were like, hey, they come in, they go, hey, heads up. Can we get another jersey? We actually framed his jersey last year. So
nice.
We need a new one. So
he was rocking 12 Rizzler today.
12 Rizzler is electric. I saw his dad was wearing the Soto jersey.
He was.
It's a real his grandpa was so excited to be here. Like, you can tell that's a family where the Mets fandom got passed on from the grandpa down, because he was loving it.
Heck yeah. What else we got, Vito?
All right. We talked about Max Kranick having his Citi Field debut, which is cool for somebody who grew up a Mets fan. I believe he said that David Wright gave him a call before the team returned to just like congratulate him on making his debut with the Mets and for the journey, and just being like, hearing that David Wright was his favorite player growing up. And that's just the kind of guy David Wright is. The year you're getting your number retired here, the year that you're being celebrated, you're calling guys who are like making their debut with the team. That shows you the kind of person that David Wright is and the kind of ambassador that he is for the Mets.
Also want to shout out the entire content team: Danilo, Donnie, Anthony, Mo, Josh Roseman,
Amanda,
for all the work.
Bobby Clemens, Taylor, Jake, everybody. That video, I mean, it's incredible. If you heard it, the kind of like gritty, new, like reimagined version of Meet the Mets. If you didn't see it here, you saw it on YouTube, but it's a great video.
Yeah, Saturday was a lot of fun. First night
How
game.
was it seeing at night because it was dark by the time it played, right?
Yeah, it was really cool. The lights were synced to it. It was, yeah, I mean, a night game is fun here. Night games are fun here.
And I want to give a special shout out to a specific graphic. So today, for Kids Opening Day, I don't know if you saw those claymation. Well, you saw them, but if you noticed those claymation style graphics that were up today, I texted Danilo because I was like, "Yo, these are incredible. Did you do them?" He goes, "No, it was Donnie." So Donnie Murphy, with just some really cool designs, and it just shows you like. You come to a Mets game, it's a thought out experience. It's not just one of 162 games, one of 81 games, right? It is. Every game is thought of as a moment, as an opportunity for fans to have a good time. And things like Kids Opening Day with the mascot brunch, the Rizzler, all these kids here today. It was a great weekend at Citi Field. Anthony DiComo tweeted out some numbers about the ballpark this weekend, and it was bigger. It was 21% bigger than any 3-game series last year. That's including the Philly series at the end of the year that was basically the playoffs.
Yeah.
Speaking of that Philly series, a text from my girlfriend. She says she believes Manaea got a curtain call.
That's not a curtain call.
Okay.
That's not a curtain call.
Okay. She said he believes she stepped out of the
Wait,
dugout.
so he went in the dugout and then came back
And
out
then stepped
after?
out, and yeah.
He did do that.
The Saturday game?
He was wearing the City Connects.
Yeah, it was a Saturday game.
Oh, well, that's a big thing to mention. Last year, how many weeks did it take? How many games did it take to get a win in the City Connect jerseys?
They didn't get their first one until June 15th last year.
In the
City
Grimace
Connect.
streak.
1-0.
That was JD Martinez's 2-homer game, and Quintana shut down the Padres.
We did it game 1.
Game 1. It's the new purple sleeves.
The new purple sleeves. It's the power of positivity. Hunter, did anybody guess? Is there any guesses in the comments right now about what the curtain call might be outside of Sean Manaea?
So I was thinking like traditional home run, go back to the dugout, and then take a curtain call. But I remember Beltran's, but I think there's probably been one since then. Thank you, Julio Franco.
But yeah, it was just a really amazing weekend at Citi Field. The fans were pumped. Even today, a Sunday, not the best weather day game. Fans were packing the place out, so really sick. All right, let's talk about, we're talking about how great the fans were. I do have a clip for this. Carlos Mendoza talked to us about the impact the fans made with the countdown. So if you know what I'm talking about, fans were counting down the pitch clock and actually doing it a little earlier to mess with the starting pitchers on the Toronto Blue Jays. So here's Carlos Mendoza giving a rundown on what that actually did.
The countdown with the pitch clock, I'm like, this is great. You know?
Keep it up, guys.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. If you don't feel like the other guy, the other team, the guy on the mound don't feel it, they are feeling it, you know, and because we are too, in a good way. So watching in the 8th inning, I don't know, it's 10 o'clock at night and it's freezing cold, and we still got 35,000 people. That's pretty incredible. It's a good feeling. And that's what you want. This is, you know, people talk about home field advantage. You know, that's what we're talking about right there.
Yeah, and that's something Carlos Mendoza preached all year to us last year when we'd speak to him about how important the fans are and that energy and how the team feeds off of it. And then an amazing day when we spoke to AJ Minter, we spoke to Frankie Montes and Clay Holmes. They all said, we need you guys when we're out there.
Yeah, I mean, poor Nick Sandlin. He was pretty rattled by that whole situation. He uncorked one. Jose Siri was on first, drew the walk, and then Siri wound up on second, and then Terren singled to move him over to third. But what's so great about that is totally organic. The crowd just did it, and it went really from 0 to 100 in a moment. Sandlin came pretty close to a pitch clock violation a few times, and you could tell that he just wasn't comfortable on the mound after he came into that game. And so shout out to the fans for quickly in big numbers. It sounded like 25,000 plus immediately caught on to that. Very college basketball-esque, counting down a shot clock, trying to mess. We do that at Assembly Hall in Bloomington. That's the kind of thing. So you know about that.
Yeah.
Sorry, it wasn't a Temple.
No, it's the
Wait, do you go to Temple or St. Joe's?
Temple.
Temple, yeah.
League Core Center gets after it though.
Sure. John Chaney, shout out John Chaney. But yeah, no, awesome. So I hope the fans keep doing it.
Yeah, me too.
Organic and just, like Vito said, anytime that the fans can help make an impact, and they 100% do, it's what it's all about. Make this place hell on earth for whatever team comes into town. That's what Citi Field's all about.
That's what the light show is. The light show is the fans getting involved in creating an intimidation factor, helping the aura of the stadium when somebody else is coming in, making it like, hey, this isn't, you want people to think this isn't an easy place to pitch. I remember last year when Rob Thompson said about Citi Field that it's an intimidating place to play at. And all I was thinking was, wow, you're the manager of the Phillies, which is known as one of the most hostile environments in baseball. Oh, and he said Citi Field is a hostile environment. And when he said that, I was so proud of this fan base. And I was like, that's sick, because that you're hearing it from is it the horse's mouth? Is that the phrase?
Yes.
Also, a bunch of people jumped in the comments and said amalgamation was the word I was trying to say the other day.
Yeah, you didn't really come that close to that one.
No, but you guys also were acting like that's not a word that exists at the time. I was saying
I had no idea where you were trying to go with it, honestly. I was just confused.
But I appreciate those two people who jumped in the comments and were like, it's amalgamation, guys. That's what you were looking for. So thank you.
That's big.
Should we jump into the injury update from Carlos Mendoza?
Sure, let's roll it.
All right, so this is Carlos Mendoza updating us on Jeff McNeil and Ronnie Mauricio.
Jeff is here, continue with his baseball progression. He was scheduled to take batting practice on the field, but because of the weather, that's not happening. He's still indoors here in the cages, going through his routine. I think doing everything that he can, fielding ground balls, throwing, running, hitting. Hopefully he continues to trend that way, and we'll see him playing in rehab games here pretty shortly. Ronnie Mauricio is down in Port St. Lucie. Same thing. The reports that we're getting, he's in a good place. He's in a good spot. He should start playing some extended games, simulating innings and more like baseball action now that he got through pretty much that phase where it's like, all right, ground balls at you, ground balls side to side, BP, live BP, running bases. Now it's like you got to go play. More on control environment in extended spring, like I said, and he's coming along.
Yeah, so I mean, Jeff McNeil, we talked about this before the injury. Second half last season, slugged over 500, was a completely different hitter. I think he changed his approach a lot. And when he went down, that's a big loss for this Mets team. It's only going to make the lineup that much longer. A guy that can play infield and outfield positions, another lefty that can hit lefties, and a guy who seemed to be changing the kind of hitter that he was, making a real effort in changing the kind of hitter that he was. So excited about that. And Ronnie Mauricio, look, obviously we can't predict the player's health. It's been a long road back for Ronnie Mauricio after he suffered the torn ACL in lead-on play a few winters ago. But I think Ronnie Mauricio is an X factor for this team that, once he arrives here and he's fully healthy and he's back playing Major League Baseball, he is going to make, I think, an impact on this lineup, on this team that a lot of people aren't talking about right now. So, the title of this episode is, Are the Mets About to Take Off? And I think that offensively, the Mets entered Sunday with the fourth highest hard hit rate in Major League Baseball, but the offense hasn't truly broken out quite yet. Pete Alonso has been on fire, 11 ribbies in his last 6 games, and Soto's been getting on base very frequently. He's been on base all 9 games. I don't think he's really fully gotten going yet. We know he's going to, Francisco Alvarez is out right now. When he comes back, whether it's May, June, and he's totally up to speed. Mark Vientos hasn't gotten going yet. We know he's going to get going. Brett Beatty hasn't gotten going yet. We know he's going to get going. Jesse Winker, Starling Marte, that left-right platoon. This offense has a lot of headroom for the Mets to be 6-3 through the first 9 games without the offense really clicking on all cylinders. Like you mentioned, even the losses that they've suffered. Opening day, the Mets had the go-ahead run at the plate. That Saturday night, they lose by 1 run, a close ball game. And then in Miami, they lose a 4-2 game, a couple miscues by one of the best defensive shortstops in baseball. Not going to happen very often. So, they're doing so many things right. They're finding ways to win. Every win that they've had has been in a different fashion, whether it's been 5-0 on opening day, last night a come from behind victory, today a 2-1 victory that they eke out, down in Miami, an extra innings game where it was just a gritty find a way to gut it out. The 10-run outburst we saw that Tuesday in Miami, the Marlins coming into town now. It's been fun to watch this team figure out ways to get across the finish line 6 of 9 times. And we know that they have reinforcements coming. And we know that the offense is not broken out. And when they pitch the way that they have, and also I think it's fair to say that the defense can probably get a bit crisper, and we saw that last year too early in the season, and it's going to. So there's a lot of headroom for this team to really be a dominant force in the National League.
No, 100%. You said it perfectly. I mean, there's not much to add there. I mean, it's like we've been saying throughout this episode. Everything, this team stays in games. They are always in it. And yeah, I just go back to last year. It's like you said, it's a tale of 2 seasons where last year everything would go wrong. The ball would fall in the right spot. The ball would be hit right to the wrong person. This year, we're seeing the other side of that when they're, things are going right for this team. When things are like Jesse Winker's ball last night, it's just high enough to trip George Springer up, right? Last year, we weren't getting those wins early in the year. So it's really relieving to see that right now, and I think they're going to capitalize it. I think they're going to continue to grow off of that.
And they have a chance here to really have a strong start. Marlins come to town, and the Mets are catching a break. The Marlins were rained out today on Sunday, and Sandy Alcantara was due to pitch Sunday, and due is the operative word here. So he was going to pitch tomorrow against the Mets, but Sandy and his wife are expecting a baby girl, and he's going to go on the paternity list, so the Mets are going to... Congrats to Sandy. The Mets are going to not see Sandy Alcantara this week. So catching a bit of a break there. So a Marlins team that already doesn't have a whole lot of expectation around it. Whenever you're facing them, you don't want to catch them at the wrong time. Like the Yankees go to Pittsburgh this weekend, they didn't see Skeens.
Yeah.
Skeens pitched before the Yankees got to town, so they missed him. With Miami, that's the one guy. And not to, I don't want to besmirch
no, but you're allowed
anyone
to say,
else,
look,
Connor
it's the race.
Gillespie or
It's
Cal Quantrill or anyone else. Vicente Bellozo.
Most teams have one guy you want to miss, right?
Yes, and that is clearly the guy that you want to miss with the Marlins. So, but after that, the Mets then get on a plane. They go play Sacramento.
Which is going to be interesting.
In Sacramento.
The first time a lot of guys on this team have played at one of those types of parks.
Yeah, I think the run environment will probably be high in Sacramento. The A's are 4-5 right now, so we'll see.
Do we see Sevy?
I have not forecasted the Athletics rotation that far out. Sorry. And then the Mets go to Minnesota, and they'll see Harrison Bader there.
Oh, man.
You want to talk about weather. I mean, you can get a snow out in Minnesota this time of the year, so we'll see how the weather cooperates. But with Miami, and then you go to Sacramento, go to Sacramento to play the Athletics, or not the Sacramento A's. And then you go to Minnesota.
They're just the Athletics.
The Mets have a chance to... Look, you don't want to be 11
No, we
games
did this
500.
last year. We also did this last year where we were like, "Hey, this is a chance where the Mets can get some cushion and get some games."
You don't want that.
Kidcaster.
Sevy pitches tomorrow, so it's most likely he'll pitch Saturday or Sunday.
Okay.
Tomorrow's Monday. So yeah, the Mets will probably see him.
Hey, then that'll be fun. It'll be fun to see somebody that was a major part of this team last year, and the Mets were able to help put in a position to get to where he is now.
What about Jeffrey Springs? That's a guy that I do not want to see. You don't look into Jeffrey Springs?
No, I just was looking for Sevy.
We're just talking A's now.
Also, just about the Mets this week at home for the final 3 games, one big thing fans should be here for is tomorrow night, or whenever you listen to this, Monday night, Kodai Senga will be making his first appearance at Citi Field since the end of July. So... And you know what? When I said to you, "Hey, is this the last time Kodai Senga pitched here?" and you were like, it seemed you thought maybe he might have. I realized why. We watched the watch party here.
Right. Yeah.
So you were probably, if I had to guess of why you were like, oh wait, it seemed like it was because we watched the watch party here, which was like a sellout crowd in the bowl.
Yeah.
But yeah, the first time since that was July 26th or 25th, Kodai Senga
26
pitched
the
against
Friday night game.
the Braves. This is his first game at Citi Field, so I really want to see the fans show up, give Kodai that love, give Kodai that support, because it's going to be another electric game here.
And it's going to be interesting to see the game plan that Kodai takes into that outing with him, because he had 8 strikeouts against the Marlins last week. He's facing them again, so back-to-back starts for him against Miami. And the ghost fork was a pitch that the Marlins lineup just could not lay off of. Yeah. And I do wonder if the Marlins, having seen him, face him again for the second time in 6 days, I think it is, pitch Tuesday, so second time in 6 days, do they spit on that pitch more in 2 strike counts, expecting, were you going to say something, Hunter? What?
No, keep speaking.
Okay. Expecting to see that in 2 strike counts. And does Kodai try to maybe sneak a couple fastballs by guys and confuse the Marlins, really, expecting the local and getting the express, if you would?
I would like Hunter to look something up while we talk about the next thing. I believe when Kodai Senga made his debut at Citi Field in 23.
It was against the Marlins?
It was against the Marlins. I believe he played the Marlins right before or right after.
He made his major league debut in Miami. He struck out I think it was double digits.
Yeah. So I would like to see the comparison between both games, because
it was McGill pitched opening day, the home opener.
No, so it was we're living in a cycle
against the Marlins. Yeah, kind of in a way. How many strikeouts did he have that first game? 8 in his debut. Yeah, it was 8. Yep. And then they're going to Oakland. Yeah, that's right. He pitched that Friday night game when there were I think the Mets scored 17 runs. There were a ton of walks.
And then it was a Saturday day game opening weekend against the Marlins here.
Yes,
I took my mom.
Yep. So excited to see him, and Clay Holmes also will make his Mets home debut on Tuesday night.
So get out to the ballpark, guys. It's gonna be fun. And another backstory I want to give. I heard Howie and Keith talking about this on the broadcast, but Bartolo with the torpedo bat. So I found out. So do you know the chain of events that transpired for Bartolo to get this bat?
I've heard some rumblings.
All right. So it starts with Alyssa Rose having the idea, texting Will Carafello saying, Will, can we get Bartolo Colon a torpedo bat? Will Carafello hits me up, says, hey, I know you talk to the Victus guys a lot. Can you get a torpedo bat? And I'm like, yeah, let me hit them up. I hit up the torpedo bat. I hit up Victus. They go, yes, we'll have it to you tomorrow. Pat McCarthy's brother is a Victus rep.
So Pat texted me a picture of a torpedo bat, and he's like, I got the goods. I guess he was listening when we did that.
No, his brother hit him up.
Oh, okay.
So and then he didn't have my number, so he hit you up because he had your
sent
number.
Me a picture with a bat.
So then I get his number. I text him. I get his number from Keith Rad. I meet Pat because Pat's brother is the Victus rep who brings it in the next day. So it goes Alyssa Rose, Will Carafello, me, Pat McCarthy's brother to Pat McCarthy, to me,
back to you,
back to Will Carafello,
back to Will,
back to Bartolo Colon.
This is the Zach Galifianakis meme. The E equals MC squared with the. It's not a rhombus,
but it's just
triangle, not a triangle, but it's a cylinder triangle.
And the bat said Bartolo's torpedo, but it was just such a funny, I was one piece of it that didn't even know the whole scheme of it until I heard Howie and Keith talking about it. But yeah, Pat McCarthy's brother saving the day, bringing that in to Pat running it in, passing off the baton, and then Bartolo gets that torpedo bat. And
the Mets had a viral tweet.
Yeah, Mets had another nice tweet. I mean, the Mets, the Rizzler tweet today was big. I had a big tweet off of the Mets with Pat Beers.
Yeah, Pat Beers, designated driver of the game. Real quick, I think we covered a lot of the Mets stuff, right?
Yeah, I think we should. You think it's time to hit Future of Flushing?
Oh, I know it's time to hit Future of Flushing, because the minor leagues got full go underway on Friday. The Smets had that. By the way, it's the new name for the Syracuse Mets. The Smets. They had started when the Mets started their season, but now we got Binghamton underway, the Brooklyn Cyclones, and the St. Lucie Mets, and some really big performances down in the player development system. The first one, Jack Wenninger on Friday, 2023 draft pick, had a big strikeout season. University of Illinois guy on Friday, struck out 7 in the season debut, so love that. Today, Sunday, Nolan McLean made his debut, a guy who, look, I'm not saying he will, I'm not saying he won't, but don't be surprised if he does. He was a college guy. And if he keeps this up, he very well might be here at Citi Field before the season's over. He struck out 8 batters, didn't walk a single batter in 4 innings of work. You know that nasty slider, and he runs it up on the miles per hour. I'm going to do one more. You'll finish it out. Matt Allen. I know this one was all over Twitter today. He returned to pro ball in an organized, real regular season game on Sunday, and he struck out the side He's throwing upwards 97, 98. He's only 23 years old. The Mets gave this guy a big bonus to forego his commitment to Florida State. He was one of the premier pitching prospects in that 2019 draft. The Mets really changed their strategy with their draft pool that year to secure Matt Allen. And, just so happy that Matt Allen is back and having success. And definitely a guy that you all want to monitor, or you listen to us and we'll tell you what's going on because we're monitoring it for you. But super, super happy to see Matt Allen, not just back on the bump, but also getting swings and misses.
The Kidcaster, who I want to give a shout out because he also runs the Mets Player Dev page. So if you follow Mets Player Dev, Hunter's the one just doing a lot of hard work, really monitoring 6 levels of Mets minor league baseball and just getting as many clips as he can in there.
Thank you. Yeah,
the Hall monitor.
So Kidcaster, what do you got?
I would say, just to put it into perspective, Brett Beatty was in that 2019 draft with
Yes, he
Matt
was. He was
Allen.
the Mets'
So
first
just
round
to
pick.
put it into some perspective for Mets fans, that's how long Matt Allen's been in this system. Obviously, we've been hearing about Brett Beatty for a while, and now he's on the major league team. Just to, just a little put it in perspective of how
You said
long.
put it in perspective like 4
so many times.
Context is key.
Yeah, exactly. Context is key. Matt Allen's been in the system for a long time, so to see him get back healthy and to look really good today was really encouraging.
I'm glad you put that into some good perspective for us.
You're welcome.
All right, let's talk about the Brooklyn Cyclones because the Brooklyn Cyclones went off yesterday, and I was fortunate enough to be in the area. I popped over to Maimonides to watch some Brooklyn Cyclones baseball, which you thought it was maybe the reason I was in my head thinking it was 27 degrees here at Citi Field was because the middle of the day in Brooklyn yesterday on the water was one of the most rigid conditions I've sat through, but it was really cool seeing the Brooklyn Cyclones just absolutely go off. Eli Serrano and Chris Suero both went yard for the Cyclones, and Chris Suero is a guy who can play multiple positions, and it's not the usual multiple positions. It's not this guy plays all the way up the middle, or this guy's playing all over the infield. Chris Suero is a guy who can catch. He can play left field. Chris Suero is we've really seen him grow in this organization. We spoke to him for the first time in 2023 spring training, and got to know him a little. A kid who grew up in New York,
In the
Bronx, and from there to now, seeing his name get more and more popular in the system. I believe he's consensus top 30 Mets prospects on most of the major write-ups. But that was great to see. Cyclones scored 15 runs on Saturday. Also on Saturday, over with the Smets, as we are now calling them, Brandon Sproat only allowed 1 run over 4 innings pitched. I also saw they're wearing the pullover jerseys in Syracuse.
Oh, really?
They're wearing
just Syracuse instead of the. You know what? Maybe that's honestly to get guys used to it for when they come up here. And that Syracuse Mets team has a lot of guys that are veteran players. I know that they just added Nico Goodrum and they added John Singleton as well. So the Mets have a lot of depth. And in AAA, if injuries occur, the Mets have options, guys to bring up. We saw it last year. I mean, this time last year, Jose Iglesias was playing up the middle for the Syracuse Mets. And we all know the kind of impact that he had on the New York Mets at one point. Also, J.D. Martinez was playing for the Syracuse Mets this time last year. So, Jose Azocar is another one of those guys. David Stearns has done a great job building out organizational depth. Luke Ritter, another guy that could come up and help out this ball club in a pinch. So, love what the Mets are doing. And it's also, you want to win games there. Brandon Sproat, you want him to feel good. You want him to be racking up victories. Really just one bad inning in his season debut. I think he came back after that, struck out the side in his next inning, and then throws 4 innings of 1-run ball on Saturday. So you heard David Stearns. He said, we don't know when he's going to be ready, but we'll know when we know. And so this is a step in the right direction for Brandon Sproat.
So it's the boys are just firing all cylinders right now. We'll finish up with Nate Dome, who made his pro debut, 3rd round pick in the 2024 draft. But
Mets also got Jonathan Santucci in that draft out of Duke. Sorry, Blue Devils fans. Tough loss, man. That's rough. It's rough.
Yeah.
I was telling people Houston money line. Everyone told me no.
I was watching the game here last night. So.
Oh, I didn't see a second of the game. No, the Duke game was the nightcap.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I wonder if Pete Alonso's all into Florida hoops.
Yeah, I feel like...
Because he's a football guy. He's a diehard Gator football fan. I don't know if he's as diehard on the hardwood. Basketball Gators haven't been... 2014, they were pretty good. But, since like the Joakim Noah, Billy Donovan, David Lee was already in the NBA at that point. When they went back-to-back. After that, they kind of... What? Oh, I forgot who I'm talking to.
I don't watch college sports.
Have you heard the name Billy Donovan in your life?
Yeah.
You have?
Yeah.
And you know Joakim Noah.
I know Joakim Noah, yeah.
I played for the
Chicago
Knicks.
Bulls.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
By the way, I don't know if the City Connect jerseys, which ones Which ones are being seen right now?
The White Sox, which are
Okay,
Chicago
good.
Bulls jerseys.
I was afraid. I was afraid if that one was like a leak, and I was about
No,
to say,
it is a
wasn't-
leak.
it wasn't
It
a
is a leak.
oh, it is a leak. Well, I
Yeah.
haven't seen that. I don't know. I haven't seen it.
Well, you just said Chicago Bulls, so
No, we're talking about the Chicago Bulls. Joaquin, no. All right. Look,
we didn't put it on the internet.
well, this has been a fun Meet at the Apple series recap. We're going to try to do these lives when the team is home because we're just fired up. We're doing it anyway. Like, why not just throw it up on Twitter as it's going, right?
Yeah, Wednesday afternoon, 1:10 start for the Mets, and then right after you get the instant reaction. Hopefully another happy recap. Hopefully, I mean, I don't want to get greedy and say a sweep.
That would be cool. If
But-
that happened, I would have some Pat beers.
Well, okay.
I just like saying the name Pat Beers. That's the sickest name. Pat Beers, if you're listening to this show, hit me up on Twitter. My name's @Vito F. Calise. I would love for you to call into the show sometime. But thank you guys for listening. This has been Meet at the Apple. I'm Vito Calise on Twitter @Vito F. Calise. John @JMB9191. Hunter @Hunter Taubes also runs @Mets Player Dev. If you want more minor league info, follow @Mets Player Dev. And listen to our Carlos Mendoza interview. You heard some clips of it here. We're going to play it in the morning tomorrow. So make sure to check that out. But thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you next time at the Apple.
Let's go Mets, baby.